Hi, guys, and welcome back to Ask Cindy, where we cover all things love, self discovery, enlightenment, and the path, all that encompasses, which is just about everything since love is everything. All right. So, what if I told you that the way you experience love, success, and even God isn't entirely yours? That your deepest beliefs about relationships, self worth, and the divine are often reflections of someone else, your parents. Whether you realize it or not, parent mirror is shaping everything from who you're drawn to in love to how much success you allow yourself to whether you feel supported by life or like you're always struggling alone. Today, we're breaking down how this hidden mirror runs the show, how to spot whether it's working for you or against you, and most importantly, how to reprogram it so you can attract the relationships, abundance, and spiritual connection you actually deserve. Have you ever considered how deep your parents have influenced your life, your patterns, what you're drawn to, what's deciding anything and everything in your life, down to your identity and spirituality, and how it manifests in both healthy and unhealthy ways? More importantly, have you ever considered how to break free from its grip when it isn't working for you, isn't no longer serving you, so you can create relationships, self worth, and a spiritual connection that actually serves you? What is the parent mirror? The parent mirror is one of 7 relationship mirrors discovered and discussed by and taught by the Essenes. And they taught essentially that the parent mirror is the way we internalize our caregivers' behaviors, beliefs, and emotional patterns. Then they project them outward into our world. This is how we develop our understanding of what love is and whether it is safe, how worthy we are of receiving care, affection, and attention, what role we must play in relationships, whether we are the fixer, the pleaser, the invisible one, the performer. All of these identities are decided by our parents. Yeah. How much trust we have in life, others, and even God. For example, if your parent, say your father, was absent in your life, or your mother, your connection to the divine may be tenuous at best because it's missing. It's designed this way. The mirror always holds up everything you experience today, whether if it's in love, friendship, careers, or even your spiritual path, is a direct reflection of the beliefs you inherited from your earliest relationships. The parent mirror even decides your attraction. Attraction is subconscious, as we covered in a couple of episodes prior to. This brain of ours is wired to seek what is familiar and not necessarily what is healthy, as I discussed in the previous episode. If your childhood experience of love involved inconsistency, you might be unconsciously drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable. If you had overly critical parents, you may be drawn to situations where you feel the need to prove your worth. And here's how this typically plays out. The emotionally unavailable parent, you seek love from the unavailable. If one or both parents were emotionally distant, neglectful, or inconsistent, love might feel like something you must be earned. And this often leads to attraction towards people who are hard to reach, partners who are distant, emotionally cold, or even married to their work. How would we create a healthy shift? Well, instead of chasing love, the healed version of this pattern allows love to come to them. And they no longer tolerate breadcrumbs of affection because they expect and receive consistent, warm, and devoted love. How about the controlling, hypercritical parent? Attracting power struggles. If a parent was overbearing, dismissive, or made love conditional based on performance, that child then grows up feeling that relationships require them to prove themselves. They may attract partners who are dominant or who criticize them, mirroring the need to earn love. You see, our mind looks for what is unresolved and seeks to complete it. And nature, nature itself, it doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about balance. And so if there are unresolved things within you, they are going to decide who and what comes to your life. And it's not doesn't have to be romantic. It could be our children, it could be coworkers, it could be neighbors, it could be friends. But a lot of times, romantic partners are the ones that really get nitty gritty and really do reflect exactly who we are. That's why in Corinthians 13, it actually says at first we see darkness. That is true because at first you're going to see the shadows that you are, what you're made of. And if they're unresolved, then you're going to draw these patterns in. So, the healthy shift, a person that heals this by choosing relationships that are built on mutual respect rather than power dynamics or need for approval. So, usually it's the opposite of what you've drawn. You'll know that you've healed it when you're no longer attracted to toxic patterns, when you start choosing healthier people for you. The unpredictable or chaotic parent. That would be someone who attracts emotional roller coasters. Parent who's sometimes loving and sometimes absent creates a unconscious association that love is unstable. So this can lead to being drawn to emotionally erratic relationships that cycle between highs and lows because stability feels boring. You know how many times I've heard people like, "Oh, he's perfect on paper, but I just feel no spark." Yeah. If you are consistently raised with chaos, then you are more addicted to the highs and lows of a roller coaster, so that a stable relationship does feel boring. You don't feel the spark. Sometimes the spark isn't necessarily what's good for you. And that's something that I try to explain a lot. A lot of times people confuse egoic things for love, and they have nothing to do with love. Love is a consistent mirror in which two people become one and they reflect one another back and forth, trading perspectives, looking into each other's shadows, seeing the best and the worst of each other and helping each other through this understanding. A lot of times people have no idea what that means because their ego is too busy either abandoning itself, protecting against pain, or finishing these loops on autopilot rather than appreciating what actually is real in front of them. So, a healthy shift. Healing means choosing partners and relationships that feel safe, stable, and fulfilling rather than chaotic and exhausting. I hate to say it, but it's not that it's boring, but it's that stability that isn't no longer considered this chaotic up and down craziness, this push pull, and suddenly for something that just doesn't feel like a roller coaster is healing. But sometimes you got to be willing to look at the patterns that are deciding your life for you. The absent or dismissive parent means attracting people that are indifferent to us. If a child felt unseen or unimportant growing up, they may unconsciously attract situations where they feel invisible, whether it's in relationship, friendship, or even in their career. Yeah. See, it's gonna show up. You don't even have to be involved in romantic relationships. If you don't have romance, then it's gonna show up in other departments of your life. So it's important to look at these mirrors and appreciate them rather than dismiss them or get frustrated with them because they will repeat until you address them within yourself. I can't stress that enough. A healthy shift, when this is healed, we become more comfortable being seen, expressing our needs, and receiving recognition and appreciation. So, next, let's talk about how the parent mirror shapes your relationship with the divine. This is crucial. Just as the parent mirror affects how we engage with people, it also deeply influences how we experience God, the universe, or the divine. It is literally determining how healthy our faith is. If love was conditional growing up, we may believe we have to earn our blessings, success, or even God's favor. Can't imagine living like that. I've developed a very healthy relationship with the divine because of my understanding of everything that it is. And I haven't even scratched the surface, and it's still a very different connection. But that took work. I had an absent father. I didn't have a connection with the divine. So I'm telling you this just to say that none of this should be like the end all be all or your life sentence. It should be things that you make yourself aware of so that you can change them within yourself if you are so inclined. If our parents were absent, we may struggle to feel that the divine present is present in our lives. Like I said, that was me. And if we're criticized constantly, we may believe that God is judging us rather than loving us. It's so funny that the way that these things mirror, but it is important to decide because these are the things that could be getting in the way of your manifestations and the obtaining of your desires. Because lacking trust in self means lacking trust in the divine. And that originates in childhood. And if you're able to look deeply within yourself and discover these things about yourself, you can change them. And that allows you to facilitate manifestation and get types of life that you would want because it's no longer conditioned or based on your lack of faith and understanding of yourself, of your true nature. So let's break it down. The judgment or the perfectionist parent, fear of divine judgment. If a child was raised in an environment where they were frequently criticized, they may develop an image of God as a strict judge, always watching, waiting for mistakes. This can manifest as a deep spiritual guilt, a fear of doing it wrong, or an inability to trust in divine love. Healing this means the shift comes when we learn to lean on the divine, that love is unconditional. Rather than seeing God as a judge, we begin to experience the divine as a loving force that is always guiding, supporting, and forgiving. I would call it akin to my best friend, who I turn to in everything, and I lean on it. No matter how bad it looks, no matter what it is, I turn and I know that whatever, once I've given it to the divine, it gets resolved. I have very little to do with it. It's very similar to the way that Christ talked about his father. He's like, oh, it's not me, it's my dad. Yeah, I get that. And by dad, he meant his consciousness, that which is the father of all things. You see? But developing that relationship changes everything. The absent parent, feeling spiritually disconnected. If a parent was emotionally or physically absent, it can create a subconscious belief that no one is truly there for us, not even God. That can lead to a deep sense of isolation, even in moments of prayer and meditation. That severe loneliness, it's not real. We're never truly alone. We're always with our higher self. We're always with every aspect of ourselves. And when you really realize that, the, the need for external validation disappears completely and you love your own company. It changes things. The rebuilding of trust in the divine often involves reconnecting with a felt sense of divine presence, whether it's through meditation, breathwork, or inner child healing. You'll feel it, but it does require some inner work. It's not that we're broken, it's that we're becoming aware of the patterns that shape us and the ones that are unhealthy, and we're rewiring them on purpose. An overly controlling parent means we might be seeing God as someone who punishes us. If a parent used fear, control, or excessive rules, a person may develop an image of God as someone who punishes rather than blesses. They may struggle to believe that good things can come easily, always expecting hardships before reward. That makes for a very tough life. You see these beliefs, these that they harden into facts. And if you don't become aware of it, then you're making your life harder than it should be. Healing this requires that you realize that the divine is not a force of punishment, but of expansion, creation, and love. The loving and supporting parent creates a natural sense of divine trust. It's not always bad. Mhm. On the other hand, if someone was raised by parents who were loving, consistent, and supporting, you often have an easier time trusting in life, in yourself, and in the divine. You tend to naturally expect good things to happen and often manifest them easily. Thank your parents if that is you. If you were fortunate enough to be raised in such a loving environment, that means that manifesting should be really easy for you. Faith and trust should be really easy. It should be easy to be vulnerable because you were raised in a cotton box, so to speak, in a place of safety, trust, and security. Be really grateful for those things because not everybody is as lucky. This is why healing the parent mirror is one of the most powerful ways to heal your spiritual connection. So, how can you reprogram the parent mirror and shift your reality? That's the good news. These patterns are not permanent, they're not meant to be. I'm speaking from experience. I am one of those people that shift them. You can shift the mirror to reflect love, abundance, and the divine connection you desire. How could you do it? Well, you do some of the things that I did. First things first, self-inquiry. I have a fantastic meditation under my healing. I will link it in the description. And essentially, it leads to investigating the types of beliefs that you need to examine and consider rewriting. Things like, how does my relationship with my parents mirror my relationships with love, success, and the divine? It's a great question. Ask yourself these questions. I have a friend who was shocked to find out that she led the exact same life her mother led and had no idea. And it was a scary, accurate mirror which was stuck on repeat. It was like a relay race where the daughter picked up where the mom left off. If you don't investigate these things, then your life isn't determined by you. You're not free, and you deserve freedom. The only way to break free is to know yourself. You can't stress that enough. Next, rewrite the narrative. Instead of saying love is hard, reframe it. Say things like love flows to me easily and consistently. Remember, the opposite always contains it. Everything is whole. The darkness contains the light. The shadow is made from the light. So if something is hard, it's just as easily easy. It's up to you to choose which narrative. Inner child healing. Work with meditations, visualizations. I have plenty. And they allow you to reparent yourself and give yourself the love you never received. If you do this, you go back in time and you fix the pattern that has you chasing what is unresolved in you. Please make this a priority. This isn't about spending the rest of your life healing, but it is about fixing the loops that are controlling your life. Somatic work. Since these patterns live in the nervous system, breath work, EFT tapping, visualizations, meditation, stretches, mudras, whatever it takes to refocus your mind to release these old wounds, do it. It will serve you in the end. Next, spiritual connection practices. Shift your spiritual perception by practicing receiving, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply allowing stillness. A lot of us, through our human design, we're designed to wait for a response, trust our gut, and trust our instincts, and we're not made for our brain to make these decisions for us. And we've been conditioned for so long that the undoing of this practice will help us get more in tune with our intuition, with our gut instinct, whichever is prevalent. Please take the time to do it. It'll serve you in the end. Final thoughts? Your parent mirror is not a life sentence, it's a blueprint, and blueprints can be rewritten. Once you shift what's inside, the outer world must reflect that change. If this episode resonated, let me know in the comments what patterns you recognize in your own life and what shifts you want to make. And if you're ready to work through these deeper patterns, check out a lot of my guided meditations on reprogramming subconscious, attraction, and healing the inner child. Like I said, links will be in the description. See you next time on Ask Cindy.